which celebrated me being 20. These 2 episodes form a two-part story, two-parter. And I think by the time the 3rd episode, so in honor of these 2 stories, I'm happy to put this video out sometime between or just ahead of the 20th anniversary of the Satan, as well as also a late birthday celebration video, because I did also plan this as sort of a second video for birthday, but then thought maybe save this for the including the amazing David Warner Doctor, who probably would be quite high on the list if I was counting him. Who probably would be quite high on the list if I was counting them. But, and also there's, but it's a shame we can't get these movies to be in canon, some sort, like maybe he heard the name of the Doctor and that wouldn't work now. It's a shame that we won't. Some Doctor going to the actual Time Lord incarnation, and even having a bit of a romantic tension. And more men and God. Excuse me. And David Tennant's 10th Doctor regenerating into him. Funny enough, the curator does apparently regenerate more. Then this is an absolutely perfect inclusion for the character. But would not be. Starting off with number 17. Number 17. And then Phantasmagoria was the first with the 7th, 6th Doctor, 5th, for fuck's sake. In terms of like this is how we're doing the how we're yeah, it must be, because parts 1 and 2 are and not those. Which is the 4th in a 4-quarter. That just says the Doctor. There's also the book Spinal Scratch, I think, but the closest we got is Josh Nair's fan animation. Okay, I'm going to have to try and get the rest of these done a little bit faster than what I did there, but I hope I was able to explain the pros and cons of the 6th Doctor in his era. So it's a good blue outfit. The blue in. Okay, so moving on to number 16. Or at the very least, second to last. Yeah. If I was, Turner obviously had to go home to help his people. A very similar situation to what the Doctor had been when he first started out. I do think, it also, yeah. Number 15. Now something I did not expect. Number 15. Hello here. Oh, excuse me, I think some dust went in my mouth. So those will be the... I'll go... So basically what happens is the Master steals the Doctors. Actually, 13th would be 14th. Again. Actually, speaking of the duplicate Doctor / the Meta Crisis Doctor, however you want to say, is an interesting interest. The duplicate / Meta Crisis Doctor. Oh, that must be the postman, I guess. But yeah, he's also so he's I think should be very miffed actually. But it could be the Valiard. So not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how to read that one when eventually at some point. So at that point, it would have been the regeneration was between the 9th and 10th Doctors. Oh well, but anyway, the duplicate Doctor, pretty good, pretty cool Doctor, and yeah, oh, and played by David Tennant. Right, that's to include for early on, and that's to include early on as well. Honourable mention. Honourable mentions. Honourable mentions. Honourable mentions. Honourable mentions. Honourable mentions. Number 14. Okay, number 14. Next story coming out in this, I think the next one is going to be about, played by Gridlock actress Anna Hope, played by novice Haim actress Hannah Hope. There you go, and that's the. But yeah, 13. I think, and the most technobabble she had to sprot, or the most expositional. Oh, poor Jodie. Number 13. Number 13. With number 13. And that is, of course, the Fugitive Doctor. Which I'd rather they... Like, the needs to justify the ends. Like, one of the Unbound Doctors. Joe Martin's probably would be a Doctor who would feel like the ends justify the means, and what they... and then she's great there. It's sort of like it's sort of hologram, like a bit like a bit like the other two, a bit like when 13, a bit like the 13 hologram when the spine. But yeah, I think. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Doctor Master, I'll throw in as another honorable mention, but he doesn't count in my opinion. Yeah, because I'm not really sure if 15 or what it is. Cool new costume though, because I think they had to change the new. Number 12. Another, Walter a little bit later, and Dave the time of the featuring all of these doctors. Apart from the War Doctor that I've mentioned so far, Fugitive actually doesn't appear in those, but she's in related scenes. Obviously, he's not the most like. But yeah, TV. I don't know. It's better than the fifth or the first Doctor, who basically became a parody. But yeah, may it long continue. I don't know where it's gone, but I had a book about it somewhere here. Actually, I'm not gonna. Number 11. Okay, I think what I'm going to do with this ranking, because I'm recording up to... I think what I'm going to do with this ranking is I'm going to split it into 2 parts, and I'm going to do like the honourable mentions and numbers 17 to 11, and then I'll do... And in a second video I'll do numbers 10 to 1. So wrapping us up of this part with number 11. And this was going to... So number 11 for me is the first dot... Blah, hang on. And John, like the nerfy child Doctor, as he was in for, I think it was what was it? Time the thing in 2021, not the escape room, the time fraction. Now David, Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nick here. Welcome to part 2 of my Doctor's Rankings list. 2 long parts, although looking at the amount of time we've got left on the recording, I don't have an awful lot of time, so I might need to do a bit later on as well after some of the footage is taken off. But time recording is now 4:12 p.m. And we've got 10 more Doctors, so again, I might only be able to do like 4 or 5 in this bit, and then record the other ones later. So moving on to number 9. See, I covered honourable mentions. So previously I covered honourable mentions for Doctors in the show and some other honourable mentions for out of the show that weren't canon but are still fairly honourable in the fandom. And then so far in the list we had number 17, the 6th Doctor, number 16, the 5th Doctor, number 40, no, fuck's sake, number 15, the War Doctor, number 30, fuck no, stop doing that, number 14, the 13th Doctor, number 13, the Fugitive Doctor, number 12, the 8th Doctor, and number 11, the 1st Doctor. So moving on to number 10. And this was also somewhat followed. But I think maybe they made him a little bit too. But I don't know if they really. But while Series 8 they were trying to do the more kind of tougher Doctor, not entirely sure if they would if it entirely panned out. I don't know. I think they were probably going to. No, actually no. I'm going to. And yeah, so there's a few points there when they had to change the script to be but he's kind of just taking the mick out of Clark. I can. It's got a very loud car outside. I was waiting for them to. I'm going to have to pause this because this is. However, when we get to In the Forest of the Night, one thing that I can clearly say that the 12th Doctor that starts around 2012 being very, very much a Doctor for the and Capaldi being an actor who would get on really well with kids, so he's getting the Doctor to fuck. Not so much with Orson P. Possibly because there wasn't really much. I think the Flood 2-parter sort of fixes this a bit better. He's trying to be a bit better, but it's more and the girl who but it's unsatisfied. Um, of the characters point because I don't think they really they weren't really sure how to touch upon it quite a lot, or when they were trying to. No, actually, I'm going to cut that. And whilst 12 definitely clears and whilst 12 and whilst 12 definitely cares, not Claire's, but because he's forgotten her memories during series 10, but okay, yeah, there's some other doctors, and I think that which leads to really cool, and yeah, it brings us a muddled but solid. Moving on to number 9, or like the halfway, but I think so. Maybe it was if it was in the 80s. Maybe if it was the 90s, it might have been a bit better. No, cut that. Maybe considering the storyline with Ray but at the same time, the next story would have ended up. But yeah, but it. Oh no, was McGann's longer? Don't do that. I said don't fucking do that. No, actually, I think McCoy's was longer. I think McCoy's was longer. Well, it was it was either him or McGann. One of them was the incumbent doctor the longest, even if they didn't have any episodes on during that period, during certain periods, not every year, etc. They unlike Tom Baker, who is the longest in terms of episode season length. But in terms of the incumbency, it's either McCoy or McGann between them two. So yeah, there's quite a it's after you get past Tom Baker, I could understand some people may be a bit reluctant to watch any of the stuff after him and would go straight to Chris Braxton or David Tennant. But well, one, don't do that. Watch it all, and two, or whatever you take your fancy, you might actually end up liking one of those other doctors. I mean, just because I put them on my lower end of the list, just because I put the 56 doctors at the bottom 2 slots on this list doesn't mean that nobody will. Doesn't mean that just because I might put some doctors towards the bottom of this list doesn't mean everybody will. There's some people who probably started watching the new series, would go back and watch the classic series, and one of them might be their favourites. Like Mr. TARDIS told a story about how he met a woman on at his job set, and she said her daughter's gone into the Jodie era. And then another time they met, she updated him about them watching the classic series, and now Colin Baker, at that time he was talking about the story. Colin Baker was their favourite. So just because. So watch as much as you can is my suggestion. You might find something you like, and even if something's towards the bottom of your list, doesn't mean all of it is bad. Like I said, there's Kate Androzani down there, for example. So yes, definitely to watch it. To watch these doctors, you'll miss out otherwise. Yes, there's some not so good bits, but there's also not some good bits in Tom Baker, David Tennant, well, not so much David Tennant, the new series, some of the 60s and early 70s stuff, So don't skip doctors. pick and choose what you want to watch, but don't skip any. So yeah, I think my point is, I think the public and maybe even some other fans should go back to McCoy and see how great the Seventh Doctor really is. And I think the public needs to. I think it's become more. So I'm hoping that. Also, he has to be. Also, I can't put him too low because also he inspired this. Yeah. Praise to Sylvester. Praise to Sylvester. I'm gonna have to get the clip up itself to play in the video. Number 8, Matt Smith, because he was pop, but I don't really blame him for why. I find that, and then other times he just. He has a meltdown at that. Well, not a meltdown, an outrage. You know, it does kind of, but yeah, in the bit too emotional in places, little bit unemotional, but not emotional enough in others. A bit too emotional in places, but doesn't open up as much as others. And considering that we had David Tennant for a show. Number 7. Well, actually, maybe in recent years that's gone. Well, plus and also maybe mid-season. Okay, this is top 6. Number 6. Well, because with numbers 10, 11, I was kind of debating whether I preferred to that's another honourable mention, actually. Metacrisis Doctor. He's a sort of a split from the 10th Doctor, thanks to that regeneration. Some people thought he could be the Valiant. Now, there is the possibility of making him the Valiant, but that doesn't quite line up with what they mentioned in The Ultimate Foe, when it said between the 12th and final regeneration, and this was the penultimate regeneration of the Doctor's first lives, the first 13 lives, post-Timeless Child. If they did say that if the duplicate Doctor does end up becoming the Valiant in the future, they're going to have to say it was the second to last Doctor of the. No, that doesn't make sense. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And production team, I'm telling you, don't do that. It's not going to make sense. At the same time, also older than, but and whilst and Tennant moves him. Maybe he gets a little bit annoying with the also the costume. Yeah, it's a bit. Sticking with David Tennant, but moving on to number 5. Sticking with David Tennant, we have his second incarnation of the Doctor, and I don't mean Doctor 10.5. But everything, and I think he's made a more round, but I think it probably would be a better received if the whole thing was well beyond I think but I think most of, just like the Tylers did with the duplicate dog. Well, I guess that explains why the Fifth Doctor can go back to the London Docklands for Destination Skaro, and it makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't, and him being older does not. make anything weird. And him being older is not weird at all. No, hang on, scratch that. Yeah, But anyway. Okay, we're rounding off into the top 4 now. Starting off with number 4. This is. Oh, I've actually just changed my mind thinking about it. I was going to say this Doctor, for third, but I'm gonna say I'm actually gonna put him. No, I'm sticking with what I got. So on number 4, and continue to be watched by thousands, or at least a million, even like 10,000 at its peak. Big, or it might. And so I applaud Troughton for how brilliant. So no, but the second Doctor is. Personally, I don't think the season 6 series is a good idea. Number 3. This and Invasion to script edit. This is the most iconic British television sci-fi. And let other writers do have a right to. Anyway, but yeah, explains why, along with the decision to get married, that all the behind the scenes trouble and being unwell. But I think he manages to pull through in the end to deliver with the regeneration, and if getting him to play Melank, and if yeah, and but yeah, like I said, Tom Baker was awesome as the. He's in his 90s now, and he's new stories for Audio Go as well, which could be kind of like testing the ground for him to do Big Finish. I don't know how in his continuity those would have been placed. Maybe between Deadly Assassin and Face of Evil, possibly. But yeah. And then again, there's a lot of Big Finish stuff that I'm not really sure where they'd place it in any Doctor's timeline. So we'll just have to wing it, I guess, with some of those. However, there's 2 more I would put above him. Starting with number 2. Number 2. So we're down to 2 New Who Doctors left, the 9th and the 11th. Well, I'll talk about my favourite in a moment, so I'll leave one to the side for then. Okay, so now we're down to the 2 last. What do you expect? And those were. Same with the other 10th Doctor episode before the Lantern, which I believe is Christmas Invasion. Same with the Christmas Invasion I saw. But what's it? Why? How come Moffat and Chibnall? How come the bet? Like you said, nice plan, and are very happy he's back with help and we are back. Okay, a little bit of bias for the last one. Number 1, but for me, I think I saw most of them before Capaldi's regeneration, and I think I saw all. But this is the first one from Doctor new actor to new actor. Who's shouting out there? Not that, but not entirely. I think there was still some redeeming element. But I think there was still some. Although Time of the Doctor, but yeah, number 13 is the fugitive. Number 6 is the best classic Doctor, and then onto the top two Doctors. I mean, in like like. On the other hand, I am really excited to know what. So yeah. So I guess doing these videos at this point in time now, and the top 10 stories back on my birthday week were good times. So yeah, I mean, if it comes back springs or some. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne bonus content YouTube channel.